Hey there everybody, Mazarok here. In today's video, I want to talk about the strengths of the Night Fae DPS Warrior. I'm going to be focusing on Fury. I think it's the all-around better spec right now. With the recent buffs, it was a lot kinder to Fury than I think it was Arms. So I have been a Night Fae Warrior for, this is my first ult, so I've been doing it for a little while. Reason why is I didn't want to go Kyrian with Prot. I just was tired of Kyrian, to be honest with you. Not my jam, and I wanted something different. And I saw that Night Fae was actually pretty good in M+. Figured I'm not going to be rating a whole lot on the Warrior. He's not the prog team or anything. And it could be a lot of fun. So there's a lot of bonuses that come, but I've recently made the switch over to Fury, especially after the buffs. They're fantastic. They're really, really good. Especially in AoE settings. I did have the chance to raid last night, and it was just a normal, and just kind of see how it goes. And my single target wasn't lacking, but there's changes you have to make fight for fight that you have to kind of know what you're doing. So let's go over the talents really quick. So if you are doing single target, not single target, if you're going into M+, let's focus on M+, first things first. Fresh meat should be your go-to. Stormbolt, I like having the extra stun. I trust my healers. I don't need impending victory, but if you like having 2 charges and you have a team with plenty of stuns, double time is a very, very good option. You're kind of open to kind of what you need to do here. Fresh meat should absolutely be your go-to for M+. So Bloodthirst always enrages you the first time you strike a target and has a 15% chance to trigger Enrage. All around fantastic, very, very good, and there's a reason why sudden death isn't as good in M+, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Massacre should absolutely be your way to go for M+. I like Bounding Stride, but if you're having healer problems or you're pugging, you can just go Warpaint, and it's not gonna be any worse for you. Cruelty I've tested Frothing Berserker. I like Cruelty more. While in Rage, Raging Blow deals 20% more damage, has 30% chance to reset its own cooldown. It's fantastic, especially if you're kind of in that weird spot in your rotation where you're just a little bit rage starved. It's works really, really nice, and or like not rage starved, but GCD starved, because there is certain points in the rotation where you kind of have nothing left to press but Whirlwind. This gives you another single target option, especially if you've already pressed Whirlwind and you just keep going. Now, you should absolutely be spec'd into Blade Storm here, and when we get to the Legendary, I'll explain why. You have 2 options here. I prefer Siegebreaker. So, number one option that's most recommended is Anger Management. Every 20 rage you spend reduces the remaining cooldown on Recklessness by 1 second. Recklessness being a very, very good ability for you. There's a reason why I'm not a big fan of Anger Management in M+. I find with Bladestorm and Recklessness, they line up fairly well once you get to higher keys on most packs anyway. So you're going to basically have Bladestorm and Recklessness for 2 out of 3 packs guaranteed, depending on how it goes and how smoothly it goes. Or, you know, if you're on a high enough key, you'll have 1 for each pack. It's just kind of how it works. It's really, really nice. Why I like Siegebreaker is it is a 30-second cooldown, meaning if your Recklessness is on cooldown and your Bladestorm's on cooldown and you get your Siegebreaker, you can still add 15% priority damage for 10 seconds. It is a very good burst. Now, my opening rotation on M+ is actually to charge or Heroic Leap in, Whirlwind, Siegebreaker, and then Bladestorm. And it deals dumb damage in AoE. Absolutely dumb damage. I actually did hit 19k on a 12 that we did the other day. So it really is, like I said, Fury in AoE right now is absolutely fantastic. But your single target is a little bit lacking. Now let's go over to raid talents. Raid talents, sudden death is the way to go. I like double time, but if you're having trouble staying alive in raids and you need that extra burst heal on 30-second cooldown, impending cooldown is really, really good. I prefer double time. Fury Warrior. Now, if you are... So, this is the thing. If you're playing Venthyr, Massacre's the way to go in raid. But on Night Fae, Frenzy for that haste buff is actually better. Having that haste buff throughout the entire fight is super, super solid. I tested this last night and it is very, very true. And then you kind of stay down the line here. Again, you can make the same point for Anger Management or Siegebreaker in Raid. Do whatever you feel is best for your rotation, and just work from there. But I personally prefer Siegebreaker, Bladestorm, and Cruelty. Works really, really well, really solid. I wasn't top of the meters in single target, but my damage wasn't main-worthy laughable. That's the thing. I was actually in the top 5 most of the night. Things were going fairly smoothly, and in fact, there was a lot of fights where I was competing for top DPS with people that have 10, 12 eye levels higher than me, and working really, really well with it. So I think Fury's got a lot to bring to the table, and one of the things that Fury does bring to the table is Ancient Aftershock. So Ancient Aftershock, it unleashes an aftershock, like the Prot Shockwave, that deals 5,000 nature damage. That is not a small amount of nature damage at all for a single target. It's actually really solid. It's better in AoE, but it's really, really solid. And if the enemy stays in the ground, it deals an extra 3,200 damage, generating rage over 12 seconds, and the knockdown is kind of useless in Raid, but is very, very good in Mythic Plus. This is very, very solid. Another good rotation to start if you're looking to get big pumps is you run in, Ancient Aftershock, run in, Whirlwind, Siegebreaker. By that point, they're all going to be grouped up. You're going to deal an extra 15% damage. Pull out that Ancient Aftershock, Bladestorm. Things are kind of already slowed. Things are being grouped up, and Bladestorm's just going to deal very, very crazy damage. And of course, with the Night Fae, you get Soul Shape, which adds an extra cooldown. If you have to kite something, if you have to get out of the way quick, it's super solid to have. So between Charge, Intervene, Night Fae cooldown, and Heroic Leap, you're set for movement. You're a very bouncy class when you need to be, and you do bring a very good raid and a very good N+ utility, which I find the higher the key, or the, depending on what portion of the raid you're in, Rallying Cry is very, very good to have. So it grants 25% temporary maximum health for 12 seconds to all party members. In a raid, once you kind of see like a big hit where everybody drops from 100 to 50 in a hurry, and all of your healers are kind of crapping their pants a little bit, this is a nice way to help mitigate some of that big damage, and it's only on a 3-minute cooldown, and there's a Soul Conduit to make it a little bit better. So that's really, really good. Now, let's go over to Soulbinds and Soul Conduits. For Mythic Plus, there's really only one option, and it's the final tier. So once you finally get it unlocked through completing the Night Fae campaign, which is Karain, you're gonna want to get to this back row, the bottom row, as fast as possible. So number 1, Wild Hunt Tactics. Your damage deals 70 to 75%, health or above, an extra 10%. Well, when you're starting and you're Whirlwind, Siege Breaking, Ancient Aftershock, Bladestorm, that's all coming into effect. That's really all working in with each other, so it's a nice 10% balance, buff all around. Potency conduit that you want to work with is Recklessness, lasts 26% longer. This one here, the Depths of Insanity. Super solid all around, and it actually does affect your Bladestorm or your Avatar. It all works together when it procs. So, but we'll get to that when we talk to the Legendaries. I like the Rallying Cry, as health, the duration and health are granted increased by 28%. Super solid all around, very, very good for you and your team. I like extra mount speed, but you can, if you don't want to pay gold for repairs, your choice. The cooldown of Enraged Regeneration is reduced by 28 seconds. That's a very good endurance conduit, and just makes you more survivable all around. It brings it down to 1.5 minutes, and you've got very good healing that you can do to help your healers out and things like that when big raid damage is occurring, or big mythic or when mythic damage is occurring, right? When you're in those pluses. Lastly, you got to choose another one. I like the Indelible Victory. Victory Rush heals you for 260% of the damage dealt over 8 seconds. Again, it's just providing healer comfort and healer ease while you're in plus or rages, and while you're in plus or in raids. This will not proc on a single target raid boss, so you might want to go Impending Victory for that one, that middle row talent that we were talking about earlier, Impending Victory, because you can really help your team out with that. So there are options for you to work with there. and to gain the most benefit out of that conduit. But what you really want in M+ is First Strike. Damaging an enemy before they damaged you increases your chance to critical strike by 25% for 5 seconds. And this works every time you damage a new enemy. So let's say you run it, you charge in, whirlwind, you got the proc, you start dealing big damage, and then that pack's almost done, and the tank starts chain pulling another one. There's no cooldown on this. As long as you're aware to damage an enemy before they can try and get you, whirlwind is a great way to do this, to set that up. You'll get that proc again, and then you can go right back into big damage. It works really, really nice, and it's no cooldown on it. It works crazy well. It does not stack, but it's really, really nice in M+. And unlocking this, I noticed a huge difference in my burst damage going from 1 week of M+ to the other, simply by unlocking this the end of that Soulbind. Now, you can also make an argument for Naya. Naya is actually a pretty good one, but requires you to work things a little bit differently. Now, here I'm set up for proc, because that's the way that I like it. So, Grove Invigoration. Fury gets a lot out of Mastery. So what happens with Grove Invigoration, your attacks have a chance to gain you a stack of this, but using Ancient Aftershock will gain you, I think it's 8 stacks? Or 12 stacks. So it's 25 Mastery times 12. That's 300 stacks! Like, that's 300 Mastery right there. That is not a small amount. And especially if you can time your enrages with that, so when you work with the talent in M+ for Fresh Meat, you get a Blade Thirst off, Ancient Aftershock, you're enraged, you have a big Mastery boom. It's, it really, really works nicely together. You get your potency, you kind of come down around here. I like Nature's Splendor, free mats, go Auction House. You get an Endurance Conduit. Now here you have two choices for, now here again I'm spec'ing the prot. I'm not going to change it just because, but because it's the same conduit supply, the same binds all apply. It's just which one do you want at the bottom. Naya's Tools Burrs has proven to actually be really good in Mythic Plus. If you can keep packs centered on a spot, it'll end up dealing 3 to 4% of your damage over the course of the dungeon. Super solid to have, super solid to see. But if you do want that extra conduit slot, potency conduit, you can go with destructive reverberations, but you're just not getting as much out of it, right? So if you do need that burst, this is a decent tree to go, but I would suggest Karain. Single target fights in raid, I absolutely go with the second potency conduit. A little bit less damage, works nicely. But for any fight like Sun King Salvation, I absolutely swap to First Strike. There's so many new adds coming up that you're getting a lot of value out of that 25% critical strike increase for 5 seconds. It really works really well, and it's a big game changer on kind of how you play things. So even I tested on Denathrius as well. There's a lot of really nice bursts that can get there, especially when you got to focus down the new adds, things like that. You don't get as much for the end, but at the same time, the only thing you're really getting here is a damage reduction and a little bit more damage off your Ancient Aftershock, which isn't bad. It's not bad, but I think here, at any fight where they introduce more adds, like Heroic Stone Legion General, where there's always a new add, this works really, really well. Normal Stone Legion, not as much. So it just requires a little bit of pre-planning and knowing the fights ahead of time. But I think the Karain Soulbind is absolutely the strongest for Night Fae and can bring you to another level. I know everybody and their mother watching this is probably like, Venthyr's the way to go for single target, and that's the way the warriors, DPS warriors should go. That is best in slot, but I think Night Fae is very competitive. Ancient Aftershock is AoE. You're already crazy good at AoE as a Fury Warrior. You're getting that much better with Ancient Aftershock. The Karain tree with the critical strike. I know crit is not your top stat for Fury, but so here if I look at my stats, I have 17, 25%. Yeah, okay, I'll take 42% crit on a Blade Storm that I've, siege breakered on, adding 15% damage. Why not? And it really, really does pump your damage. This is tested in 10, 12, and 11 10, 11, and 12 keys. I haven't really pushed that much further with my Warrior yet, just due to it being an alt and still focusing on my Warlock more. But Fury's tons of fun right now, man. That buff has been absolutely huge for them, and just kind of the way to go. So it's different things to think about and work with. But Fury Warrior single target is not main worthy anymore, and their AOE is on it's on a level of like Wild Spirits. I can't say Combustion because Combustion's just god tier friggin' mage damage. But you're not bad, man. You're really good. So if you saw my Rise of the Fury Warrior video, I kind of covered a little bit of that to begin with. Now I covered it a little bit more. You have a lot of tools at your disposal. Warriors do bring a lot to the table, but they're niche little options. So you do have the 70% slow with Piercing Howl and things like that. Now, the reason why I said you need to spec in Bladestorm, because I'm going to cover Legendaries now. Legendaries, you should be going with Tormented Kings. I have tested out Deathmaker, which is kind of what they say is the preferred single target. I don't like it. It's 2 RNG proc. It just, it does not work. Tormented Kings is solid. The Bladestorm damage when you get Recklessness or Avatar, doesn't matter which one procs with it. So what it does is whenever you cast Bladestorm, Recklessness, or Avatar, it randomly casts one of the other 2 abilities at reduced effectiveness. So you're really getting the big bang for your buck by speccing into Bladestorm here. Because getting Recklessness and getting, increasing that rage generation, you could have nothing. You Bladestorm, you get a Recklessness, boom, you're full rage. And then you're going right back into your rotation. It works really, really well. Bladestorm here is also really good on is not bad on single target. It's not your preferred means of doing damage on single target, but it is not bad. And it's also really good for cleave. Denathrius, so when you're trying to get those ads down as fast as possible, you Bladestorm, Denathrius might be coming into your circle every once in a while. It just requires a little bit of positioning, but you can really get that damage amp up. Remoria's, flying around all over the place. There's a good chance you'll strike it once or twice too. Not a bad option to have. Stone Legion Generals. On Heroic, mind you. Because there's always the add up on Heroic. So then that way you can just work from there. But I mean, after my raid testing last night, if you put love into Fury Warrior will absolutely crush it for you. So here I'm level 204. I did get some item upgrades last night, but I went into the raid going, I think it was like 200 or something. So
take it off.
Do not be afraid. If you see Fury Warrior sign up for your Mythic Plus, Mythic Key Plus Pug, take them. You will be surprised, especially if they're playing it right with Tormented Kings. They're going to be doing a lot of damage really, really quick. They're going to be mobile, so they're going to be able to get things for you that works really, really nicely. Even if you don't have a Warlock to fear the freeze tag, the Freezing Fox on Tina Scythe, that 70% Piercing Howl will always be up. And reducing that their movement speed by 70% is pretty big. It's only for 8 seconds, but it allows you to kind of reposition the fight. Maybe get a freeze trap or whatever CC you have on it. It just allows for better conditioning and better movement. So that is my main guide to Fury Warrior as well. So let's we'll talk enchants really quick. Celestial Guidance and Sinful Revelation should be your go-to for raiding. Celestial Guidance and Lightless Force are really good for Mythic Plus. Doubling down on that AoE with Lightless Force. Double Shadow Core Oil is solid, but you can also, if you have a bladed weapon, I would do a Shadow Core and a Sharpening Stone. Just kind of get the better increases of both. Single target Phantom Fire has proven to be the better DPS for me. Wherever I've tested this on single target, Phantom Fire seems to be the clear-cut winner. It just deals more damage. Things work a lot nicer. And you have a lot more means of proccing that, especially with the 2 Shadow Core Oils that are working really, really well in tandem together. And just, yeah, I mean, try it out, work it out. It's a lot of fun. I really want to get the Legendary for the Leaper, so you can just leap like 20 times in a row or whatever it is. I think it's like 3, but with Bounding Stride, it's 30 seconds. You could basically cover like all of Arathi Basin in like 5 seconds. It's really, really nice. So yeah, that's my Fury Warrior guide. I really think they're gonna fill a good niche in Mythic Plus. I think they're gonna be a top contender. You're gonna see. I think you're gonna see a lot more Fury Warriors coming up in the ranks in Mythic Plus, and I think they're really good in raids. I don't think they're going to be your top. I don't think they're Affliction Lock single target status, of course, but I don't think they're bad. I think they're really, really solid. Their kit is solid to deal a constant baseline AoE with good burst all around. So that is the Night Fae Warrior. I stream on Twitch Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Sundays being D&D. Come on by, give me a follow. If you have any questions about Warlocks or Warriors, apparently my favorite classes have War in their name. I don't know. That's just the way it works out. The link's in the doobly-doo below. Please give me a follow on Twitch. If you like this type of content, if you have questions, come on by and ask. If you like the weak auras that you see, most of them are made by me, depending on what class and spec, just kind of how it works. And I'm not the best at programming, but I'm okay. I'm okay at making weak auras. I'm getting there. You know, practice makes perfect. But what do you think? Have you guys played with Fury Warriors at all? Do you not want to be a Venthyr Fury Warrior and you're looking for a different covenant to go to, but you're not sure which one? Night Fae is an absolutely great competitive option. I am downloading the PTR as we speak, so I can test out the War Banner. I think it's going to be better for Prot than it's going to be for Fury, or for the DPS specs, but I think that War Banner is going to be kind of a competitive game changer in its own sense. Could be a lot of fun. So we'll as we get along to it, we'll kind of get footage from there and test that out a little bit more.
No.
I think it's going to make Fury a great support class, if you can get it right. I mean, I don't think it's going to change a whole lot. But that Soulbind, the Karain Soulbind is so good for Mythic Plus. It's unreal. So just things to think about. What do you think? You know, did I miss something that you think Warriors should absolutely be hitting on that I am not? Am I crazy for being a non-Venthyr Fury Warrior? Aside from that, I hope you guys are enjoying Shadowlands as much as I am and are getting more and more excited for things to come. I hope you guys are having yourselves a great day. Stay safe and have yourselves a good day.